So my missionary was Margaret Stringer. She was a single missionary lady, and she went to Papua New Guinea. And she never preached there while she was there at all, but she did nursing, and she would teach the women and children. They started out in the Sengo tribe, and the Sengo tribe, they were already reached with the gospel, so there were a couple men there, and she would travel with them to try and reach the Vocabus. And they were a cannibalistic tribe and very heathen in their nature. And so what their goal is they wanted to reach them with the gospel. They wanted to reach these people just like the Aucas, just like tons of other missionaries, except this one was pretty recent. And so this one, you just don't really realize how many people there still are that haven't heard the gospel. And so when she was there in New Guinea, they started making contact with the Vocabus, and what they did was they used their medical abilities, and they would reach the people with that. But then also there was one point while they were working there when they got wind that the Vocabus were going to try and kill them and eat them, and they couldn't react with panic or anything because that could really hurt the ministry and hurt themselves, because the Vocabus would freak out and probably kill them right then and there. So what they ended up doing was they just told them calmly and plainly, you know what, headquarters needs us, we'll come back soon. And the Vocabus were like, okay, sure, whatever, you can go do that. So they ended up leaving. But they still had a burden for those people, and they still wanted to reach them with the gospel. So what they ended up doing was they just came back after things settled down, and they would just take shorter trips and they wouldn't stay as long. But until it was in 1996. So this is pretty recent. In 1996, a lot of the tribal leaders and the people there ended up getting saved. And so they're just able to work in the ministry there. And you just see, ladies aren't called to the mission field, but she had a burden to reach these people. And she didn't have to stay there, but she still had this desire to reach people for Christ in the middle of nowhere, and people have never heard before. And so that was just an encouragement to me, and just, you can do whatever you can. And so in New Guinea, I thought this was really cool, because you always hear, oh, New Guinea's open, there's missionaries going in and out, but you're like, okay, whatever. You don't really think about what's going on there. But at the time when I got this assignment, there was a guy that went through our church in Florida, and he was been doing projects in New Guinea. And what he said was, he ended up talking with the prime minister there, and the prime minister is a Seventh-day Adventist. And he said, you know what, you can come and talk to me about the gospel. You can give me the gospel for as long as you want. And so he has this opportunity to go and give him the gospel. And he said, also, what you can do, he's like, I'll give you as long as you want on the air, and you can go on television and preach for as long as you want. He said, it's up to you for as long. And so they have all these opportunities. And they're also working on a crusade. They're planning this summer, and thousands of people have already promised that they're going to be coming and showing up to these things. These people are searching for the truth. They're searching for the gospel. And, so in New Guinea, there are over 850 different languages. And the percentage of people that live in the main cities it's about 18%. And so the majority of these people that live in New Guinea, which has a population of about 9 million people, the majority of these people live in these little tribes and the areas all around New Guinea. And so, it's hard for missionaries to go in and learn all these different languages to reach these smaller groups. But once they start concentrating on the main groups, then, people can go out to those. But, so then also, there's a 61% literacy rate in New Guinea, and there's 20 provinces in New Guinea, and 5 of those have a 5% literacy rate. So basically, if you went to any of these different provinces and you gave them a tract, they wouldn't even be able to read it. They wouldn't be able to understand the gospel just by reading it in their own language. So literally, you have to learn the language to teach these people. But what the government is encouraging is they want people to come in and teach their children, and for wanting their children there to learn how to read and all these things. So what they're doing is they're really encouraging extracurricular groups for the kids. So missionaries have opportunities to go in and teach them Bible and to reach these kids. And these kids can show their parents or show other children. So then also what's going on is BIMI has a Bible project going on, and they're trying to distribute 1 million Bibles there. And they're reaching these children in the schools, and they have about 750,000 already passed out. So it's just neat to see those opportunities that they have, and New Guinea is not closed as a lot of the other countries are. So they're really, really needing more workers there, and that's what the missionary that went through our church said. They're saying they have a Bible college there, and there's men just as soon as they graduate, they're sending them to churches because there's a need in all these different tribes for people to go and teach them. And so that's just something that is just really neat. And a lot of times you hear that there's all these closed places, but there are places that are open and they need to hear the gospel. So.